going to be typical in lower level play because they usually are going to go for the gas income because it makes them feel a little bit safer. Going for more of a really super mineral heavy type expand is really not something you see too much in these lower league games, and you hardly ever see Nexus first out of Protoss against Terran anyway. So I'm real curious what these two have in mind. This is obviously a practice game, so practice games tend to have a different set of play that you'll see of more variety in practice games because people are willing to try stuff when there's no like ladder points on the line. We got this probe coming in here. It does see that the Terran does not have a gas down yet, so that should clue him into the fact that the Terran is going for that gasless expand. Now the thing about this is that if you go for this gasless expand, it does give your Protoss opponent the opportunity to pressure your front with gateway units if you don't build a bunker. We don't have a bunker going down just yet for the Terran. He is able to build it. He is floating just enough money to be able to drop down a bunker. He should probably put one down. But we do have a sentry going down for our Protoss player instead of a stalker, so there will probably not be that much pressure coming out from the Protoss player. He does have 2 gases down and is harvesting from both geysers, but is still dropping down a Nexus. So what is he going to do with all this gas income, I wonder? Gas income and Chrono Boost energy, now that I think about it. He's just stockpiling a lot of resources that he'll eventually be able to use. And for the Terran, he has not dropped down any gas at all just yet, so he is really just going to be very heavily reliant on Marines in the early game. He still doesn't have a bunker down yet. The Protoss wanted to later on, early on. He actually could just attack and do a lot of damage. Really aren't going to be able to hold very many early game Protoss attacks without bunkers. So we do have the command center up. It is being transformed into an orbital now. Our Terran is finally now taking both gases up at his top. He still hasn't transferred SCVs down to this newly established expansion yet. We do have the 2 additional gateways going down for our Protoss player, as well as another pylon. Still no robotics facility just yet. I have no idea what he's going to be doing with all that gas. Viki's going Dark Templar. He might be. He might be going Dark Templar off this 2 base build. He is stockpiling a lot of that gas, and he still isn't using this Chrono Boost energy to get out this Warp Gate tech. So I'm really very curious what the Protoss is up to. He is making quite a few sentries. That's 3 sentries, which is kind of an interesting choice considering that he knows that his opponent's going gasless expand. Most players don't go gasless expand and then actually turn around and start attacking you. That's not really something you see, especially in the lower leagues. Maybe you do. I don't really have too much experience there. So we do have the tech lab going down for the Terran player. That is probably going to be for one of these 2 Marine upgrades. It is now Stim. As I said previously, Stim is usually more indicative of later game, mid-game timing pushes. Because Stim takes so much longer to build than combat shields, most of the time, if you're interested in going for early game pressure with Marines, you usually want to opt for that combat shield as opposed to the Stim pack because it does finish that much quicker than your opponents. And so I was correct that he was planning something with that gas, but I didn't expect this. That is a really quick Templar archives. So this actually could be an Archon rush? Huh. He could be going straight for fast Storm, too. He is stockpiling that 200-200. Will he be getting Storm? It doesn't really look like it. So this might actually be an incredibly fast Archon build, which would be very interesting. That is a lot of sentries, too. This could actually be really cool. This could actually be really cool if he actually does go for some kind of weird Archon build. So he is making 2 High Templar. He still has not Research Charge or Psionic Storm, so it does look like it is going to be a very quick Archon. That is one of the quickest Archons I think I've ever seen, especially with this kind of build. So he has an Archon, Sentry, and slow Zealot push, and now he's researching Blink. So this is one of the more interesting builds that I've seen all week. And I wonder how our Terran player is going to respond to this. He has really only made Marines. And the Marines will be getting Stimpack pretty soon, and Medevacs are on the way out. But with the Archon, with an Archon out on the field that early, and with so many sentries down for Guardian Shield and Force Fields, the Protoss army is actually in a pretty good position to counter what the Terran has. I do think that he should at least add one more Archon in there if he wants to move out. I don't think you just want to stick with just the single Archon. But that's what our Protoss player is going to be doing. It does look like he's moving out on the map. This factory does see that he has an Archon out this early, and we'll see how the Terran is going to respond to this. He does only have this Marine Marauder composition. No upgrades on them just yet, no combat shields. He really only has stim, and it looks like he is interested in a drop. So we have a drop that is now moving out on the map. Will our Protoss player be able to see it? It looks like he might. Does he see the drop? He barely saw the blip of those medevacs going across to the Protoss player's base. Psionic Storm is now researching. Blink is almost done. And we have a double medevac drop coming into the Protoss' main base. This could cause a lot of damage, but we do have a Protoss army here at the front. Bunkers are just now being constructed. With good force fields, those bunkers can be completely mitigated. The Archon is in front. It will be doing damage to those Marines, but it is not actually firing. The Archon was not actually firing, but it looks like the front of this base is going to go down anyway. We have a drop going in the main base. It did snipe that Templar Archives. That is a big loss for our Protoss player. And now these Marines and these Marauders are going to be doing a lot of damage to the Protoss main base. They will snipe that They will snipe that Twilight Council. They are going to go after the Cybernetics Core next. That is another big target that the Protoss player can't really afford to lose. Without charge and with just stalkers, this drop is actually going to be very difficult for the Terran to actually deal with. But we do have an army that is in the Terran's natural that is just ripping through that as well. We have sentries going up the ramp. They are not being controlled very well. He needs a Guardian Shield and he needs to force field these units away, but he's actually just giving away these units at the top of this ramp. He's not focus firing anything, so all of those units are going to die at the top of the ramp. And these Marines are the heroes of this game because they have managed to kill the Protoss army, while this drop in the Protoss' main base continues to wreak a lot of havoc. Both players are floating quite a few resources right now, but the Protoss can't really spend them with all of those warp gates unpowered. So this doesn't look like it's very good for the Protoss player, and he is forced to GG out, and that is really unfortunate, and that is a lot of probes. I have not even been able to see it. Wow. Wow. Now that is pro production, people. That is pro production. In a 12.5-minute game, this Protoss was actually able to produce 55 probes in Gold League against this opponent, and he was able to actually go for one of the more interesting builds I've seen all week, which is that Archon rush. I think if you would have actually had a second Archon in the front here, he actually would have been able to bust down this front door. But obviously the bigger problem in all of this was that the Terran was able to hold back a majority of that army while continuing to drop on his opponent. And yeah, that was a pretty straightforward game. Good game by both players. That was pretty cool. So I will be right back. I am going to exit out of the stream for a moment so that it saves this one individually of the others. I will be back in about a minute.